Today we are going to be talking all about Disney's canceled project for a second gate, which we already have a second gate in Disneyland, but a second gate in Disneyland called Westcot. So, let's get to it. Just from the name, you can probably get a pretty good idea what Westcot would be like. If you thought it would be a West Coast version of Epcot, then you would be right. Being a newer park, though, it would be an update of the East Coast version, though smaller. After all, you can fit Disneyland inside of the Seven Seas Lagoon, so they have a bit more space to work with in Florida. Just like Epcot, Westcot would be divided into two areas. One area would be a World Showcase-like area. Because of size restraints, each country would not get its own pavilion, but pavilions would be based on regions. Also, to get more space, many of the structure would build up, giving more space to work with on the same parcel of land. Besides giving more floor space, this would also allow for more control of things like lighting. The plan was that this would allow for easier changes of set pieces. If a new development came, a new building would not be built, but new facades would be built. Also, the inside would not be exposed to the elements, so they would last longer, and with only the outside of the buildings needing the more intensive maintenance that outside locations require. Imagineers also felt that the environment would get guests immersed. At Epcot, the pavilions are small, and you can see the lagoon all the time as a constant reminder of where you really are. With a show building, all you see and experience is a show with nothing outside to distract guests, even if it's a nice view of the Eiffel Tower or other scenic pavilion structures. The first location you'd enter at Westcot would be an American Pavilion. The American Pavilion would be much like the Epcot version, but with an updated and improved show. Next to America would be America's neighbors, Mexico and Canada. Mexico would be the Central American area and feature a show similar to the Mystery Lodge at Knott's Berry Farm based on the Aztec and Inca, a dark ride, a restaurant, and thrill rides. It was said it would be a more lively version of the Epcot Mexico Pavilion. On the other side of America would be Canada, that would also have a show even more closely resembling the Mystery Lodge as it would be based on Native American culture. The next area would be Europe. Europe would feature a Tivoli garden-inspired area with attractions to entertain. A lesson the Imagineers learned from Epcot was many of the pavilions were just shops and restaurants with a few shores, and that the younger audience found boring. So you wanted to incorporate things to do in all ages in each location. Europe would also have a 360-degree film with audio animatronics that would have been made for Paris, originally named From Time to Time. This would become known in the Magic Kingdom as the Timekeeper. The show would be located under the Acropolis. The e-ticket attraction of the land would be the Trans-European Express, which would be an exciting chase on European railroads as you go by famous European landmarks. The Asia land would have a steel coaster known as Ride the Dragon. The ride would have traditional Chinese dragons at the front. The coaster would have guests go on mountains known as the Dragon's Teeth. At the top of the roller coaster, you would be able to see out the park, so Disney planned to put string silks around the area so you do not see the outside world they had created. Asia would have a Japanese show, possibly the Meet the World show that had been planned for Epcot but got sent to Tokyo. The Temple of Heaven from the China Pavilion at Epcot would also be used again, which would also have included the movie that Epcot has as well. There would also be a South Asia section. A carousel of mythical Asian animals would be in Asia, along with an Indian-themed hotel. The African and Middle East section had a couple of concepts that Imagineers were excited about, but have got caught before anything else. The plan was to have a Great Religions of the World show, which got axed because of concerns of offending anyone. A similar idea was to have a 7 Days of Creation show and have 7 world-renowned artists each work on a single day. That was not outright canceled, but put on a back burner for a possible later phase. The African area would feature a river raft ride down the fictional Congo-Obazi River. This may have been part of the inspiration for both Cali River Rapids as well as Grizzly River Run in California, which ended up in roughly the same area. Under a large African tree, American folk tales would be told. The Tishman African Art Exhibit was to find a permanent home at the Africa Pavilion. Other outdoor outdoor entertainment such as drummers would be present. Demonstrations of traditional farming methods would be shown. A second phase Egyptian building was also being planned. The Egyptian building would be a hotel and possibly offer more attractions as well. Connecting all the areas together would be the longest boat ride in Disney history. The full boat ride, which would be known as the River of Time, would take a full 45 minutes to complete. But like the train in Disneyland, you would have the chance to get off at various locations. Each stop would allow you to get off if you wanted. You could then board the ride where you got off and continue the boat ride. The ride itself would have given you a tour of the history and culture of the places you would go to. The Future World Pavilion would all be housed in one building. Initial designs called for a geodesic sphere like in Epcot, but on a much grander scale and to be painted gold. The original plans for the sphere to be 300 feet compared to Epcot's 180 feet tall sphere. The sphere was never going to make it. The size of the sphere would have made it the largest building in Orange County. The sphere also received large opposition from the local homeowners who viewed it as an eyesore as well as creating too much light pollution. The sphere had no chance of making it into the park as small versions continued to face opposition. Disney worked on figuring out a weenie for the park but never came up with satisfactory focal point. The Future World Pavilion would feature many of the pavilions that were located in Epcot, but often with upgrades. A nature section would combine the seas and the land. It would have growing areas as well as new additions not seen in Florida. You would get to experience multiple environments including desert, jungle, and even Arctic, which would include snow that you could play with. The seas area would have been very similar to the Epcot version. One major difference, while both pavilions in Epcot offer behind-the-scenes tours, Westcot was going to make this a regular part of the experience instead of limited upcharge activities. Living would combine the Wonders of Life Pavilion with the Imagination Pavilion. The Wonders of Life section would include Body Wars, Cranium Command, and The Making of Me. The Imagination Pavilion would feature a similar but unique version of the Journey into Imagination ride. It sounds like some of the changes would be to take some of the unused ideas that were originally planned for Epcot version and finally build them in the Westcot version. A science section would be new, but may have been where rides which were planned for the park, such as Horizon, Universe and Energy, and World of Motion, would be placed. The section would have some unique things of its own. The first would be a hands-on interactive area for the kids. The idea behind the area was that Disney found kids do not know much about modern jobs. Someone who goes to work on a computer every day is not the same as someone that does something like farm, so the exhibits would help give kids an idea about jobs. The most exciting part would be a new ride which was to be known as Cosmic Journeys. The ride would be similar to the adventures in inner space that you would shrink, but it would also make you expand as well. The ride was to be a combination of film, simulation, and 3D, which sounds a lot like a 3D simulator, like the new version of Star Tours. On top of all this, there is some speculation that a space pavilion was also planned. It is possible that space may include Horizon, as Horizon was said to be part of the park, but no particular area was given for the location. Some little evidence exists that it would have been included, but the space pavilion would never be built in Epcot as it was supposed to be. On top of this, there would also be a monorail. Where the monorail would go is unclear. Besides the monorail, a creep remover system above ground would take us from the parking lot to the two Disneyland Resort park entrances. With the idea of the park having most pavilions indoors, the plan was to have the first few floors dedicated to the theme park. The upper levels would house the hotel areas for guests. They would have been the first hotels inside of a Disney park. This idea would carry over to Disney Sea as well as California Adventure. The project went far. Announcements were made in various media. Plenty of concept art was made for all the different areas and attractions. Models were even built. So the project came close to becoming a reality. The entire plan would have cost $3.1 billion. On top of that, it is common in the theme park industry to have cost overruns, so it's likely the cost would have been much higher. Obviously, the project was going to be very expensive. The project was also part of an even more extensive plan to expand Disneyland Resort, and more of those plans will be covered in a future video. To make such massive expansions, Disney had to have the support of the city and even higher government authorities. Disney even wanted to be given complete and full power, with a special district to be created, such as with Disney World and the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Disney was never able to make such an arrangement. From the very start, the project was plagued with problems. Some of the problems included opposition from locals, an example of this park being previously mentioned in the Points from the Park's Giant Sphere. Not only would major changes and improvements be needed in the immediate vicinity, but outside changes would be needed, such as the freeway. All that Disney needed and wanted, it couldn't get. It did what it could and was able to eventually get some things from local authorities, but not nearly as much as it hoped. As with many projects during this time, Westcot was partially derailed because of the financial problems caused by Euro Disneyland, which is known as Disneyland Paris now. Michael Eisner planned to retreat with Imagineers and other Disney leaders in Aspen. He had decided Westcot would not work, so he wanted to come up with another alternative. It was at this meeting that the idea for Disney California Adventure would come up. It may seem that Disney's California Adventure was a better deal at only $600 million, that they spent another $100 million before current CEO. He's not the current CEO anymore. Get it right, Riot. The CEO, Bob Iger, would ultimately put in $1.1 billion into the expansion. So Disney's California Adventure ended up costing $8 billion. Not as much as Westcot planned, but most people would probably agree that Westcot would have been a better park. If you agree with me, tell me in the comments down below. Also, it would have been completed at one time, and it's likely, unlike that California Adventure, which struggled the first few years to gain an audience, Westcot may have seen much greater attendance right from the start. Even if they had scaled the project back, a scaled-down version of the park would probably have been better received than California Adventure was initially. With regular rumors of a third Disneyland Resort park, it is possible that some of these ideas might see the light of day once more. It is possible that instead of building a totally new park, they would take what they have and create a Westcot after all. If you like this video, please smash that like button, as it really does help this channel out. And if you're new here, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all my latest videos. And if you found the hidden pick in this video, please leave the timestamp along with the video idea that you would love to see to get a shout out in my next video. And shout out to my subscribers and more people. I'm not there yet. As of the time of recording this, no one has gotten shouted out, but it is Friday and I just posted my video, so just wait. Anyways, but I'll see you on Wednesday with another video. And bye.